Thank you for joining this session on how startups can use AWS for AI and ML. And since data is so critical to machine learning, I'll also discuss the services AWS offers for data workloads. A little bit about myself. I'm Mark Birch, Global Startup Advocate at AWS. I've been a software developer, tech founder in the HR industry, an advisor and investor to many early stage startups, and I'm passionate about building startups in the cloud and leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning to get that done. Now, the startups team at AWS focuses on the world's best startups becoming the world's best companies, leveraging the technology and scale of AWS to accomplish that. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how AWS can help your startup build machine learning irrespective of whether you're new to machine learning or you're already deep in the wilds of machine learning and AI. For the next 45 minutes or so, I'll walk us through how AWS helps startups broadly, why we are the best choice for AI, what services AWS offers to support startups on their journey, and a whole lot more. So let's dig into it. I got personally introduced to AWS over a dozen years ago as a founder. I was in New York City at the time, and all of my fellow startup founders I was talking to, they were all using AWS. Now, granted, at the time, there are only a small number of services to take advantage of, like S3 for storage and EC2 for compute. I soon joined the rush, however, when AWS started to roll out more programs specific to startups. Programs that you may have heard of, like Activate, that provides credits, support, training, and content. There's also education resources and engagements like well-architected reviews that help teams to build faster and with more confidence. AWS also offers things such as the Partner Network, or APN, which helps with go-to-market. There's connections with VCs for raising fundraising. And then we have communities, like our user groups that are globally distributed, as well as the CTO fellowships that accelerate your success on AWS. We have built an entire ecosystem at AWS to support you on your journey. If you want to, after this presentation, work directly with our startups team, I absolutely encourage you to reach out to your account team to find out all the different ways that AWS can help you build, grow, and scale faster. Today, we're diving into how AWS specifically helps startups for AI and machine learning. Now, we've all heard these terms around, and we all heard these things around technologies described in different ways. So let's level set and start with some definitions. AI is simply a way to describe a system that can replicate tasks that previously required human intelligence, such as complex decision-making, where human judgment is required. Most AI use cases are looking for a probabilistic outcome, meaning they're making a prediction or a decision with a high degree of certainty. Now, almost all AI systems today are created using this thing called machine learning. Machine learning, or ML for short, uses large amounts of data to create and validate decision logic, which is known as a model, a term I'll throw out quite a bit today in our presentation. And what it's doing behind the scenes is it's creating an AI application that feeds input data into that model, and the model outputs human-like decisions. Then finally in our stack, we have deep learning. And it's a type of machine learning that's specialized using a technique called deep neural networks. These systems replicate how the human brain functions, which allows those systems to address more complex use cases than ever previously possible. Now that we have a better understanding of the definitions of AI, ML, and deep learning, let's have a look at how Amazon uses these technologies for business impact. Not many people realize this, but Amazon itself has been through a multi-year journey to become the machine learning driven company that you see today. And ML is an integral part of Amazon. We've been applying machine learning in areas such as personalization and supply chain for more than 20 years. And we've improved upon these personalization models over time to help drive recommendations across all of the Amazon.com properties, as well as other products like Amazon Prime. We also use ML throughout our fulfillment process, including developing forecasting systems that predict the appropriate amount of demand for each product that we sell worldwide. We've launched a natural language processing innovations to give customers entirely new ways to interact with technology through Alexa. And we've also developed these groundbreaking technologies, such as autonomous flight through our Prime Air drones, as well as robotics in our fulfillment center, all with the purpose of helping to get packages to customers faster. Founders will often ask me why they should build their machine learning capabilities on AWS. And I feel it comes down to three key things. First, we provide the broadest and deepest set of machine learning and AI services for your business. In fact, we've launched over 250 new features and services in the last year alone, and our pace is only accelerating. And these services support everyone, whether you're a developer who's an expert, to those who have no experience in machine learning at all. Second, we accelerate the adoption of machine learning with solutions like SageMaker. I'll talk about SageMaker in more depth later on in this webinar. But for now, SageMaker is a managed service that reduces the complexity of building, training, tuning, and deploying machine learning models, making it easier for developers and data scientists who are not as experienced in machine learning. Third, you get the confidence of building on AWS that has the most comprehensive cloud infrastructure that's optimized for machine learning. And we are continuously investing in improving our delivery of high-performance, low-cost infrastructure options that best fit your needs. As an example, AWS is building silicon from the ground up, optimized for ML inference performance. We use learnings from our Graviton CPU and Nitro system innovations to build AWS Inferentia. It's a custom chip that delivers the lowest cost of inference in the cloud. And this is why AWS is the place startups most often turn to for building machine learning. One of the facts that surprises many founders I talk to is that 92% of all deep learning runs on AWS today, as does 91% of all cloud-based PyTorch workloads. It's no surprise, therefore, that AWS is a vendor of choice for over 100,000 customers globally. Some of these customers are fairly well known. You may have heard of companies like BMW, Intuit, NASDAQ, the NFL, and many, many more. But our machine learning services, they're not just for enterprises. Many startups around the globe have dived deep to use AWS for their machine learning workloads. Companies you may have also heard of, such as Aurora in the autonomous driving space, Coinbase, the leading cryptocurrency exchange, and Grammarly, the well-regarded grammar checking app. But for all the progress we've made in machine learning, let's be honest, operationalizing machine learning can be one of the most challenging problems for startups today. And I've seen many startups struggle to decide their data strategy, find and grow talent, understand the business outcomes that will benefit from machine learning, and then to turn all of these wonderful insights into repeatable processes. And I often hear from startup founders that of all these concerns, hiring is the top concern. The need for AI specialists far outstrips the supply in the jobs market, however. And as a startup, let's be honest, you may not be able to hire those highly qualified talent which is actually no surprise given that the speed of innovation and the amount of opportunity in the space is huge. In fact, a LinkedIn report noted that demand has grown 74% annually and 2 times faster than any other emerging job category. Despite these challenges, I firmly believe that all startups can take advantage of AI and machine learning. It doesn't happen overnight, however. It's a journey to build a data strategy, learn a technology, develop your teams, and to use existing services and software rather than trying to build it from scratch. Now, I talk to a lot of startups, and I frequently advise them about not trying to reinvent the wheel. Often startups simply don't know about the different services, however, that are out there already and just start building because that's what they do. We're all builders. We love to build. But it's super important at this stage that what's really important is to focus on what are the key differentiators for your business. And the start of that process is understanding your data and establishing your data strategy. Many startups struggle at getting value from their data since it's often locked in production databases. You need to be able to prototype and test ideas quickly to unlock new opportunities. This is especially true in machine learning, and we're always working between these two phases. On the one hand, we're doing ML experimentation, and on the other hand, we're doing ML operations. Now, at the beginning, you'll mostly be running experiments, but having a well thought out data strategy where you can analyze your data and combine it with different open data sets, that's what is going to allow you to get value out of your machine learning efforts and scale much faster. This is where AWS can help by providing scalable, trusted, and a secure place to do this work. Once this data is collected and organized, it can be unified in something called a data lake. That's a place where all the data resides in one location that allows anyone that can have access for the purposes of experimentation. Now, although startups tend to be up to date and on the latest technologies and also quick to implement, I often find that this is one area that they can focus on for significant improvements. And when you're at this point where you need to start to prepare your data strategy and infrastructure for running ML workloads, we have a number of data store options to choose from. AWS offers the broadest portfolio of purpose-built data stores to support the most demanding workloads at a fraction of the cost of old school databases. For relational databases, for example, AWS helps startups wanting to move away from the self-managed SQL servers or MySQLs to databases such as Amazon RDS or Amazon Aurora. For non-relational databases, which have exploded in popularity, by the way, we help customers to move away from those self-managed non-relational document and key value stores to services like DynamoDB, DocumentDB, Elasticache, and Keyspaces. And then we have even more specialized purpose-built data stores, such as Neptune for graph data, TimeStream for time series data, and QLDB for ledger data stores. Now, on the data management, streaming, and analytics side, AWS has the most options in the cloud for startups. In data warehousing, for example, we offer Redshift serverless. For big data processing, we offer EMR serverless. For streaming and analytics, we've created Kinesis data streams on demand, as well as MSK serverless. For interactive query analytics, we offer Athena. For data integration ETL, we have AWS Glue, which, by the way, has been supporting serverless Spark since 2017. When it comes to data lake setup, management, and governance, we provide lake formation. And lastly, we offer QuickSight for really great data visualizations. Now, you may be sensing a trend here because for almost every type of analytics needs, we have a serverless option. to make it easy for our customers to do what they do best. Focus on building your applications while we handle all of the infrastructure underneath. Now, sometimes it can be confusing to understand which option is best and which one can best serve your needs. So we offer programs such as AWS Data Lab, which enables you to understand how best to use services. For example, maybe using Kinesis for data streaming, S3 for building a data lake, or leveraging Redshift for your data warehouse needs. All of this is so that you get the most out of your data, analytics, and machine learning workloads. Building a centralized data lake, though, and managing those data flows, well, that requires a lot of other setup, which includes data access, securing the data, establishing governance policies for the purposes of compliance and regulations as part of completing your overall data strategy. But it's also important to focus on real business challenges to get the most out of your ML efforts. We have many programs that help you achieve strategic business outcomes along your machine learning journey, some of which I'll actually share towards the end of this session. Where to find these real-world business challenges, however? At Amazon, we have a term called working backwards. And in your case, you may want to work backwards from your customers and ask them how you can significantly improve their customer experience. In this case, customers could be your external customers, but it can also be internal teams. The important point here is that by looking through the lens of the customer, you can better connect how technologies like personalization provide better recommendations for consumers, or how fraud detection and intelligent document processing helps optimize business processes. We've also built lots of horizontal use cases and industry verticalized use cases to help you build faster. If you're in a startup that's already well experienced with machine learning, we can also help by helping you to optimize your ML infrastructure for building your own models in a way that's more scalable and repeatable. How expansive are our ML capabilities? Well, at AWS, as you can see, we have the broadest and deepest set of services for supporting your AI and ML needs. Our machine learning stack is divided into 3 sections. The first being AI services, which are the quickest way of adding AI capabilities to your applications and processes. There's ML services to build, train, deploy, and optimize machine learning. And we have our ML frameworks and infrastructure to obtain virtually unlimited scale. And we are continuously adding more services and capabilities based on what customers need, thus removing much of the undifferentiated heavy lifting that helps our customers to build and ship faster. Diving into AI services, we provide these to support developers and startups who want to add solutions-oriented intelligence to their applications through API calls. This truly is the fastest way to add machine learning to your business. And we define these services as either specialized or core, and then we further categorize them. Talking through some examples, we have industrial AI. And industrial AI is the type of services for AWS customers that are in industries like manufacturing and agriculture. Amazon Health Lake is an offering that's tailored to the healthcare and life sciences customers. We have services such as vision services, which include Amazon Recognition for image and video processing. And this is helpful to help you tell what's in an image, maybe if there are celebrities in an image, if an image is safe for work, and many more use cases. If you want to turn text into speech, you can leverage Amazon Poly. If you want to transcribe audio, we have Amazon Transcribe. If you want to translate text into different languages, we offer Amazon Translate. If you want to understand what's being said in a translated text, we offer Amazon Comprehend. And if you want to extract text from documents using OCR, we have Amazon Textract. Then we have these additional services, such as chatbots. We have Amazon Lex, We have personalization, there's forecasting, as well as tools like Fraud Detector, Code Guru, Contact Lens, and Kendra. These are just some of the many, many examples that we have, and I won't have time to go through all of them in this session, but at least this gives you a starting point to explore all the ways that you can build artificial intelligence directly into your application without having to build and train a model from scratch. And the thing to note is that all these services have pre-trained AI. Think of them as shortcuts to quickly add intelligence to your applications. Our pre-trained AI services address many common business use cases, such as personalized recommendations, modernizing your contact center, improving safety and security, increasing customer engagement, and all using the same deep learning technologies that power Amazon.com and our Amazon machine learning services. As one example, let's take Fraud Detector. Fraud Detector can augment or replace existing rules-based fraud detection solutions that you're using today, allowing your fraud operations teams to implement new measures to address threats much more quickly. And you don't have to train this model yourself. Rather, you take advantage of one that we already pre-built. Or in another case, we have Amazon Personalized. With Personalized, you can do things like deliver product or media recommendations for almost any product content, but leveraging your own data. And under the hood, Amazon Personalized is automatically processing and inspecting data. It's identifying what is meaningful. It's helping you select the right algorithms, and then trains and optimizes a personalized model that is customized to your data. And the benefit of our AI services is that they allow you to take advantage of machine learning without having to learn from scratch. It's a complete end-to-end auto machine learning solution. For startups, however, that might have more experience and already leveraging machine learning today, we offer ML services focused for teams that want to build and train their own models. This layer of our ML stack uses Amazon SageMaker, which is the most complete end-to-end service for machine learning. It's a managed service for data scientists and ML operations teams that helps remove the undifferentiated heavy lifting that's often associated with machine learning. The result is that those teams have more time, resources, and energy to focus on solving business problems and delivering solutions. And SageMaker is a complete service that helps startups leverage all the best practices for every stage of machine learning. That means it's not just another Python notebook or an all-in-one auto ML solution. In fact, I work with many startups who have pieces of this workflow in place, but then they completely miss other critical steps of their machine learning workflow and have no communication between their teams to begin to even address these gaps. This communication within and across teams is one of the most complicated steps of growing and scaling your startup. And in this case, this is where AWS SageMaker can be so helpful because it helps address every single part of your ML workflow. It helps bring the team together so you can optimize your workflow, whether that's by building checklists, deploying processes as code, or automating your ML development lifecycle, or any other practices. Amazon SageMaker is a family of functions and tools organized by 4 primary categories. There's data preparation, model building, training and tuning, and deployment and management. And this is what differentiates SageMaker the most. It's not just a bunch of random API endpoints. It comes with complete model monitoring, the ability to retrain and redeploy models, as well as tools to scale them as needed. SageMaker helps fill the gaps in your team's skills and capabilities so you can build and deploy ML faster. The biggest benefit of SageMaker, however, is that your entire team will now, by leveraging SageMaker, they can speak the same language. And for example, SageMaker Canvas. We created this as a no-code tool built for business analysts. using a visual interface for building models. We've also added data wrangling and code notebooks in SageMaker Studio for data scientists. And then we have tools to automate the entire data science lifecycle through MLOps, with all the underlying compute API model endpoints and CI/CD lifecycles. In this way, SageMaker is a great way to level up the skills of your machine learning team. But how does this all work in practice? Here I have an example of approving a model for production. Although there are only 6 models shown here, I work with startups that have thousands of these models that show up on the screen, yet they still manage to deploy daily and do all the work to completely retrain and automate their process. Data scientists can see exactly what's in production here and see what's in staging within the IDE. And then they can approve models as they see fit for ready production. Meanwhile, your DevOps team can watch the same process within their code pipeline. They can stay in their preferred domain and tools while still collaborating effortlessly with the rest of the team. Once that model is in production, you have the opportunity to start visualizing and understanding what's happening with your model. Unlike traditional API endpoints, which are only able to provide surface level data, for example, like the number of satisfied requests hitting a given endpoint, in this case, machine learning, we absolutely want more information. This information is critical because of things like model drift that affect the accuracy of a model. We want to understand, for example, what the false positive rate of a model might be, or the confusion matrix. We also want to understand whether something we deployed regionally might have some different effects when deployed globally, or whether seasonality may affect a model in some unexpected ways. That means your team needs to reorient themselves in how they understand and evaluate the term performance from a machine learning perspective. And this is what's really great. By having a single pane of glass that's provided through SageMaker, it now provides an opportunity for your team to have that critical conversation about how a model is performing by surfacing the right information, asking the right questions, and coming to the right decisions to take action. And from this perspective, you're really working with a new language. A team needs to work together to adopt this language of machine learning. And this is where SageMaker is really helpful because it helps to democratize ML innovation so your developers, your DevOps engineers, data scientists, and business analysts are all on the same page using the right tools. Many startups begin their ML journey with some souped up rig under a developer's desk. I think we've all seen that. Or a machine learning PhD who's manually labeling data, even after you may have already added PhDs to the team. If your startup is waiting on training models using these slow, janky machines, or manually labeling data with your most expensive engineers, AWS can help and help your frustrated team. SageMaker has all the tools to reduce training times, automate processes, and to prepare data at scale. And when it comes to preparing data at scale, we have this tool that we call SageMaker Ground Truth. It's a fully managed service for easily labeling data. It provides over 30 labeling workflows for computer vision and NLP use cases. And it includes assistive labeling features, a range of workforce options, and a pay-as-you-go pricing model. The result of all this is that the cost of labeling is significantly reduced by up to 70%. And the great thing is that because all of this is built in AWS, SageMaker comes already with all of the robust IT ops capabilities. Things are notoriously difficult for startups to set up, especially around areas like security, compliance, workflows, scalability, and orchestration. These are especially challenging for startups in regulated spaces where data workflows and automation are heavily scrutinized, and to be frank, pretty easy to foul up. This is where our industry specialist teams and our experience ML, AI ML startup team can be of significant help. AWS makes it easier to set up your MLOps. We help you build upon the traditional DevOps best practices like infrastructure as code, managing security, monitoring logs, understanding governance and cost, and also building reliability through our ML architectural practices. Then we layer on these newer ML ops practices, things such as model governance, model monitoring, traceability, model validation, data validation, quality gates, and also providing all this as a supporting layer so that you can build a culture that understands how machine learning works with data-driven systems, which, by the way, is quite different than working on a rules-based system or more traditional software development. But startup founders will often come to me and say, hey, Mark, I don't really understand how well we're doing. How can we evaluate where we are when it comes to MLOps? Well, as you see here, the MLOps maturity model is providing a roadmap, helping to guide you from where you are today to where you want to go, looking across the domains of people, data, training, and deployment. For example, some startups I talk to, they'll be great at collaboration, but be completely mired in manual processes. Whereas other startups will have the training and deployment fully automated, but have ad hoc data collection and preparation processes. The point is, wherever you are in your MLOps maturity, the AWS Startups team can help guide you to the point where you can deploy daily and with confidence without having to worry about security, compliance, regulatory, and other issues. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, we're a startup and time to market is a huge concern for us. You may be thinking that you don't have the time or resources to set up end-to-end MLOps. This is where SageMaker JumpStart can be of significant help by providing an easy and quick way to bring machine learning applications to market. Solutions can be used out of the box, or they can be customized for a specific business problem, eliminating the need to build or train an ML model and to string together different components of an ML application. You can accelerate time to deploy using over 150 open source models, which include one-click deployable ML models and algorithms from popular model zoos. You can also get started with just a few clicks and easily bring ML applications to market. Pre-configure all the necessary AWS services required to launch into production, including a CloudFormation template and reference architecture. Now on to our next part of our stack and our last part, which is machine learning frameworks and infrastructure. These are our custom deep learning containers, as well as the broadest and deepest hardware options on the market today, including custom processors for deep learning purposes. In fact, we were the first to launch GPU-based instances for machine learning in the cloud. And you can choose from a wide range of compute instances based on CPUs, GPUs, and custom accelerators, coupled with leading industry networking and storage to meet your budget and performance needs for your models. Now, if you're running traditional machine learning workloads, you can choose our CPU-based instances for running and training inference on your small to medium-sized ML models. If you're looking for high-performance instances to run training and inference on deep learning modules, well, you can leverage our GPU and accelerator-based instances. And this is much, much more than just some GPUs. Consider that with our Ultra clusters, you can make networking consisting of thousands of GPUs. And each of these machines is incredibly powerful, powered by 8 GPUs, 400 gigabits of bandwidth, and virtually unlimited storage, leading to 60% lower training costs. We also have these custom instances that are specifically built for deep learning, such as the new Amazon DL1 instances, which offer a 40% better price point compared to similar GPUs. They feature up to 8 Gaudi accelerators by Habana Labs, 400 gigabits of networking, and 4 terabytes of memory. Also, the software for DL1, the Synapse AI SDK, is integrated with PyTorch and TensorFlow. The benefit of this is that you can keep the same frameworks that you know and love and still be very productive. One example that comes to mind of a startup that wanted to build a 2 trillion parameter transformer model on AWS. This is pretty mind-blowing, 2 trillion. Well, they ran a proof of concept with a small number of 50 billion parameters across 200 P4D instances. And if you add all that up, that's a staggering 800 A100 GPUs. And that's truly a supercomputer. The training workload is now in production across 500 P4D instances, which is 4,000 GPUs running directly on EC2 with EKS for orchestration. We do a lot of this really difficult engineering work for our customers, including things like building custom deep learning containers with the latest drivers. If you had to do this manually yourself, dealing with all the updates to different drivers and all of the constant production issues that come up, you'd say, no way am I going to build this complex system. With AWS, however, as a partner, you can take advantage of a team that already does this for a living. All you have to do is stitch it together and maybe in the process build your own supercomputer. Another example of leveraging our machine learning capabilities, in this case our ML services, is Aurora. I talked about them before. They're a 4-year-old self-driving car startup headquartered in Palo Alto. Their self-driving platform, Aurora Driver, is a combination of state-of-the-art machine learning and engineering to deliver the most reliable self-driving technology in the world. They standardize on SageMaker for all of their model training and using SageMaker to manage the end-to-end workflow of deploying models from research to training. The result of all this, they achieve 10x better productivity. And what's even more amazing, they reduce their process of deploying models from weeks to under a day. The last example I want to share is a customer that's leveraging our pre-built AI services. The customer contact center for Intuit was faced with handling customer requests across multiple different communication channels. They were dealing with highly variable seasonal scaling due to things like tax season. And all of this led to long hold times and a lack of data persistence across business lines, which means that callers often had to repeat their information to the next agent when being passed along to different business units. They needed to improve their customer experience. So Intuit reached out to AWS. And in the process, they implemented services such as Contact Lens for Amazon Connect to provide analytics, Amazon Transcribe to generate call transcripts, Amazon Comprehend to extract sentiment from the text, and then implemented Poly to build self-service capabilities within their IVR. Intuit now has a unified contact center that has significantly improved the customer experience. We all know from experience, however, that there will be some percentage of startups that still prefer to self-host their own stacks, leveraging open source software. And oftentimes the reason is because they tell me that the pace of innovation in machine learning is moving so fast that they need to keep up with a lot of the open source technologies that are out there. However, many of these founders and startups, they don't realize how easy it is to integrate our managed solutions directly into their existing systems and workflows. All of our tools are designed to be modular. And that means there's not just one way to build on AWS. We can work backwards from your needs to help you integrate open source tools and solutions in the market to build the very best holistic solution for your needs. This webinar is simply the first step, however, on your ML journey, and we are helped to guide you wherever you are in terms of experience level. We have a number of education acceleration programs to help you get started quickly. AWS offers free online training and certification programs for developers. We also offer workshops to help you identify the best use cases for your business and work hand in hand with your team to develop a proof of concept through ML Solutions Lab. And through another program called AWS ML Embark Program, we do in-person training for both business and technical staff. We offer ideation sessions to discuss use cases and assist development of a proof of concept. Lastly, we have a professional services team, as well as a whole universe of machine learning partners who can do end-to-end development and help take your machine learning applications to the next level. Before I close out the session, I also just wanted to share some links to programs that might be helpful for you, such as the AWS Activate program, as well as content on machine learning and startups building on AWS that you might find helpful and also inspiring. With that, I sincerely want to thank you for tuning in. You can reach me on any of my social channels if you have further questions in getting your startup prepared to build your machine learning workloads on AWS. Take care now.